Hello everyone, welcome to the program Bachelor of Science, second year, subject Botany, core, semester 4, course code BOC 104, course title Plant Physiology. Title of the unit, Unit 5 Photosynthesis, module name Reaction Center and Antenna Molecules. Myself, Dr. Ms. Nisha Kewat, Assistant Professors in Department in Botany from DPM Sri Mallika Arjun and Sri Chetan Manju Desai College, Dalam, Kankona, Goa. Coming to the outline, in this PPT, we will cover the reaction center, antenna molecules, coordination between antenna molecules and reaction center, and learn about something antenna complexes. Coming to the learning outcomes, at the end of this session, students will be able to know about the reaction center and antenna molecule. They will also be able to understand the coordination between the antenna molecules and reaction center. Reaction center and antenna molecules. Majority of the pigment serves as an antenna complex, which are involved in collecting the light and transferring the energy to the reaction center complex, where chemical oxidation and reduction reactions leading to the long-term energy storage takes place. We can see here in this diagram, these are the accessory pigment molecules which surrounds the reaction center. Whenever the light energy falls onto this pigment molecule, they get excited and they release the electrons, and whatever energy is being absorbed, it is transferred through the from one pigment to another pigment to the third pigment, and ultimately it is funneled to the reaction center. As a result, when the energy is being given to the reaction center, it gets excited and it knocks out the electrons out of the reaction center. So at this point, there is a molecule which is there, which is called as the electron acceptor, which will accept the electron. So they will get reduced. So there is an oxidation and reduction, and at the simultaneously there will be another molecule which will accept the electron, and then they will get oxidized. So the cycle goes on. Reaction centers and most antenna complexes basically are integral components of the photosynthetic membrane. Like in eukaryotes, we have well-defined double membrane bound organelle called as a chloroplast. So all the photosynthetic organisms in eukaryotes will have this antenna complex localized within the lipid bilayer of the chloroplast. Whereas in prokaryotes, these antenna complexes will be localized in the plasma membrane, which is or the membrane which are derived from it. Coming to the antenna system of different classes of photosynthetic organisms, they vary. And the fact that they vary also signifies their ecological adaptation. We know that photosynthetic bacteria is the most primitive kind of organism. They also have the photosynthetic machinery, but they have a machinery which is adapted for their habitat. Likewise, algae, which is aquatic in nature, they also have a photosynthetic machinery which is suited for their ecological adaptation. Then we have a pteridophytes and gymnosperms and angiosperms. Coming to the size of the antenna system per reaction center. If we talk about the photosynthetic bacteria, 20 to 30 bacteriochlorophylls are present per reaction center. Whereas in algae, few thousand pigments will be present per reaction center. Coming to the higher plants, there are around 200 to 300 chlorophyll molecules per reaction center. So the size of the antenna system varies if you talk about the different types of organisms. Resonance transfer. This is a physical mechanism by which excitation energy is conveyed from and is thought to be resonance transfer. This mode of the transfer of the energy from one pigment to another pigment to the third pigment, it happens by the resonance transfer. Coordination between antenna molecule and reaction center. Funneling of absorbed energy towards the reaction center has absorption maxima, which is shifting towards the longer red wavelength. We can see here, these are all the antenna complexes like carotenoids, chlorophyll A, chlorophyll B and chlorophyll A. So whenever the light energy comes and hits the carotenoids, and we have the lambda maximum of carotenoids falls around 480 nanometer, then it shifts to our chlorophyll B, which has the absorption maxima around 662, 72, all that, and chlorophyll A, and ultimately coming to the reaction center, which is 680 nanometer. So we see that it is absorption maxima is shifting towards the red wavelength. Red shift in absorption maximum means that the energy of the excited state is somewhat lower near the reaction center. We know that shorter the wavelength, greater is the energy. So longer the wavelength, lesser the energy. So we know that there is a more energy at this point, and by the time the energy whatever is being transferred to the reaction center will be lower energy. When excitation is transferred from chlorophyll B molecule here at 650 nanometer to a chlorophyll molecule A, which is absorbing at 670 nanometer, the difference between the chlorophyll B and the chlorophyll A, okay, is lost to the environment in the form of a heat. So because they are coming to the lower energy, they have a high energy, chlorophyll B, chlorophyll A as a lower energy. So from high to low energy, they shift by transferring that extra energy as a heat. For excitation to be transferred, heat would have to be resupplied, and therefore the probability of reverse transfer is smaller. We can see here why the energy is transferred in a downward direction. It doesn't happen in a backward direction, because if the energy is lost as a heat and we want to convey the energy back to the chlorophyll A and chlorophyll B, heat has to be supplied from externally, and this plant cannot afford that because it is a wasteful process. So that reversibility is not occurring. So this effect gives the energy trapping process a degree of directionality or irreversibility. So basically this will only flow in one direction, there will be no irreversibility over there. So therefore system sacrifices some energy from each quantum so that nearly all of the quanta can be trapped by the reaction center. Therefore this is what they do, they release the energy in the form of a heat so that when it coming in a downward direction, they do not go in a backward direction. Energy transfer in antenna complex is very efficient. Approximately 95 to 99% of the photons which is absorbed by the antenna will be utilized for the photochemistry, and more specifically that is a light reaction of photosynthesis. Energy transfer is purely physical phenomena. Electron transfer involves chemical change in the molecule because they go from the ground state to the excited state. So there is a lot of changes that takes place in that molecule. Coming to the antenna complexes, antenna proteins are associated primarily with the photosystem II. Therefore, they are called as light harvesting complex II protein. We can see here this is the thylakoid membrane of the chloroplast, and this entire structure which is in a light color, that is a light harvesting complex, it has in it antenna molecules. This is where the resonance energy transfer is taking place. Others are associated with the photosystem I and are called light harvesting complex 1 proteins. These antenna complexes, they are also referred as the chlorophyll A-B antenna proteins. Protein contains around 3 alpha helical regions which is spinning in the thylakoid membrane, and they bind around 15 chlorophyll A and B molecule as well as the few carotenoids. Structure of the light harvesting complex 1 protein is still under study. These are the references.